Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending upon the location from where you have tuned into. I will be spending next 10 minutes to talk about AMR and its governance and implementation related issues, mainly from South Asia perspective. Next slide, please. AMR or antimicrobial resistance arises when bugs survive the medicine that would normally kill or stop them. It means that we may lose our fight to diseases causing death or economic loss. The question here is, how serious is AMR problem? Well, as you can see through these two graphs, first one on the left-hand side, based on the review led by economist Jim O'Neill, which estimated unless action is taken, the death from AMR by 2050 could be as high as 10 million lives each year. And to put things in comparison to COVID-19, the graph on the right-hand side estimate that AMR could overshadow effects of COVID-19 in next 30 years by 5 times. So yes, AMR is a serious political, social, and economic problem. And the impact could be significantly much higher in regions like South Asia that comprises of low and middle income countries and have huge population that lives in poverty. Next slide, please. Recognizing AMR as a dominant global health concern, 68th World Health Assembly in 2015 endorsed a global action plan on AMR that has 5 strategic objectives, which are listed here in the slide. I will not go in detail, but these are the 5 objectives. And Assembly also urged all its member states to develop AMR National Action Plan that are aligned to these 5 objectives of the Global Action Plan. And the member states have responded to this call. For example, as you can see from this graph, based on the situational analysis undertaken for the countries in the WHO Euro region, revealed significant progress in the implementation of National Action Plan across various focus areas from the year 2016 to 2018. Next slide, please. Although countries have made a good progress, as we have seen in the earlier slide, they have the National Action Plan governance mechanism in place, and at least this is true for the countries in the Southeast Asia. Uh, but the question here is like, is this truly reflective of the country's ownership of AMR? Well, on in-depth analysis, we will notice that some countries lack AMR policies, standards, and guidelines related to AMR response. Most countries lack effective operational plans and regulatory frameworks. And furthermore, some countries, a National Action Plan is not yet endorsed. That means it's still in the draft stage. The National Action Plan are not yet costed, and there is no financial commitment made to support the action plan. In some countries where there is a budget allocation for AMR, it is mainly restricted for human health sector, and thus animal health sector has made very less progress on AMR. This is due to the limited resources and limited systemic capacity. Furthermore, environment sector in particular is even far more left out and very less integrated. Next slide, please. So we can definitely see that AMR response is more tilted towards human health sector. In countries, the coordination committees on AMR are led by the human health sector and are inadequately represented by others sector, non-health sector. This is impacting One Health engagement and effective multi-sectoral coordination in true sense. With regard to AMR surveillance, which is one of the core objectives under the National Action Plan and also being supported by Fleming Fund, the surveillance system is still in very early stages of implementation and even more lagging in animal and environment sector. In human health, it's emerging, but animal health and environment sector, they are far more lagging. A point to be noted here, unlike human health sector, where we have global antimicrobial surveillance, resistant surveillance system or CLASS, it's known as CLASS, which is an internationally standardized mechanism to collect, analyze, and share AMR data at the global level. There is no such mechanism for AMR data from the animal health sector. Next slide, please. So what is needed? The ownership political commitment for AMR response by the country is critical for tackling AMR. Countries should ensure that action plans have accountability matrices such as budget and resource commitment. Countries should also find ways to mainstream AMR into their existing program to accommodate stressed budget. For example, routine training program for clinicians could include messaging on antibiotic stewardship, etc. In some countries in South Asia, majority of AMR data is held in private sector laboratories. So it's very important to also include them in AMR surveillance. In addition, there should be a mechanism to include experts from the civil society, from universities, from think tank in the technical group discussions, which there's a technical working groups which has been established at the country level. But as of now, these technical working groups are largely restricted to government staff or the technical experts which are associated with government hospitals. So there should be a mechanism to include non-governmental experts. And these non-governmental experts or civil society could play an important role. They can share evidences and policy idea to foster evidence-based decision making. But it's also very important for a meaningful engagement that civil society should also contribute constructive feedback and actionable solutions rather than only showing the shortcomings in the system. Next slide, please. So finally, the countries countries in the region like South Asia could be disproportionately affected by AMR, which means government in these countries must be fully equipped to own and respond to AMR. We can't blame any single entity. All sectors and stakeholders have a role to play and should collaborate and coordinate for an effective AMR response. It should be everyone concerned. That's all from my side. Thank you very much. Next slide. Thank you slide. Thank you very much.